So I checked out a brand new 2025 found footage horror film called Distort on Tubi. I think it's on a few other places, but you guys know I love my Tubi. So unfortunately, there is a lot of ads, but you know, what do you expect for free? So this is about a musician who is going out into the woods to record his album. While he's out there, he starts finding these cassette tapes, and on the cassette is the voice of a woman, and she is kind of recounting the events of what's taking place, and she's being terrorized by a man and his dog. And he keeps finding these tapes outside of his tent and around in these little piles of like leaves and whatnot. Very cool premise and you know, concept. I dig this conceptually for sure. You know, we have a lot of guy goes out into the woods or characters go out into the woods with a camera, movies, especially in found footage, and it's hard to do something that feels somewhat unique. Now, this isn't completely original by any means, but I do like the idea here of these cassette tapes. You know, they're just audio cassette tapes, right? They're not video. I like that because he's a recording artist, and you know, recordings of audio is what he's doing out there. That's honestly one area where I feel like the film was kind of had some missteps is in that concept, with the fact that he was a musician and he was out there recording this record and there's audio tapes. I just don't feel like they blended those two well, where something could have came of it because he is a musician, because he does have recording equipment along, you know, with him out there. I just felt like they could have incorporated the two together in a very unique way that made him a good candidate for these events and for potentially helping this person. So I just feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity. So I was a bit bummed on that. Also, I was kind of struggling with the fact of why he would continue to keep staying there. You know, at first he's recording the record and we see him play guitar and sing a couple times and he's recording it, but then he kind of just gets wrapped up in the mystery and that keeps him out there. But it feels very dangerous and it doesn't feel like there's any real reason, driving force behind why he would continue to keep putting himself in harm's way. So I was having a bit of a hard time with that. Like, how many nights are you going to stay there? How many weird events are going to have to take place for you to go, there's no real reason why I should be staying out here? Like, the motivations just didn't feel strong enough for me. Had he had moments where he connected with something in a certain way, where he was like, you know, the motivations are this, or like, you know, he got very obsessed with incorporating sounds that he was finding on the tapes or whatever into his music, and it was inspiring him, and you know, something like that, something that made it feel like, okay, this guy is getting something out of this. But it just kind of is, he's just there and he just continues to keep doing it, and it just felt forced in that way. That said, I still think this was good. I still liked this. The character, as far as like the actor, who I think is also the writer director of this, he's good, he's fine. I think he gives a pretty good performance. I just would have liked the character to been written in a way that made me believe it more. So that's my big issue. But I do think that the end actually is pretty good. I thought that they they added a couple visual elements that were quite cool and were unexpected, because the rest of the film felt so small. Not saying that there was something huge as some like blockbuster type thing in the end, not by any means, but there's a couple of visual effects that I was not expecting to come from this movie, because this felt like a kind of DIY kind of project. Somebody who has no budget and is really just kind of working on the fly. But these little added elements here really upped the production quality for me in the end, and was like, oh, this is actually adding a good thrill to it and intrigue. So good on them for the ending. And there's a creepiness to some of the scenes, especially when he goes out into the woods in the night with a flashlight and his camera, and he happens across something out there. I thought that was good. I didn't love it. I think that there's room for improvement all around in here. But I think it's a cool attempt at a feature found footage film with a lot of promise. So I liked it. I think that this is one that if you're a big found footage enthusiast and you haven't seen it yet, you should give it a shot. If you're into the guy out in the woods with a camera storyline, and that hasn't been played to death for you, and you like indie found footage films, then this would be a good watch. It's not without its faults, but that's okay. So yeah, Distort 2025 on Tubi for free. Only an hour and 17 minutes, and stay through the credits. The whole, there's something beyond the last pictures. So anyway, that's that. I'll see you in the comments. Adios.